Welcome, gorgeous souls, to the I Do Me podcast. I'm Martina, and we are flipping here the script on what authentic living really looks like. We are diving into the struggle of staying true to yourself in a world obsessed with polished facades. Get ready for tips and tools to navigate relationships with more grace and a lot less bullshit. Expect no nonsense conversations that will help you mind your own business and live more authentically. Let's yank that stick out of our collective asses and power up our games. This is the I Do Me podcast, and let's get that rolling. Hey, my loves, welcome to the I Do Me podcast. And I could cry. I literally could cry because I have been on a 2 weeks hiatus from the podcast. I had a bit of a rough 2 weeks, to be very honest with you. So I am so glad to be back. And I'm intentionally not pushing myself to do things that are not the most important. I love my podcast. I love posting on Instagram. I post a lot and I always want to be at service and provide you with amazing tips, insights, inspiration, and also like a lot of value. And I also know I need to put back into myself first. And if that isn't going that well, then I also have to make sure I'm coming back to myself, let everything else go for a tiny bit and take a bit of a break from, maybe like podcasting or writing emails. And now I'm fully back at it. And I am so curious to hear from you what you think about the podcast. So I've been running this now since July. So if you leave a comment or DM me on Instagram at @FemMagical, that would be fabulous, because I want to hear, what are the topics that you love the most, or what you're missing, or any kind of feedback is always appreciated, because that is not a one-way ticket here with the podcast where just I am speaking. I also want to involve you and give you the chance to, write comments and just let me know whenever there is anything that you want me to elaborate on, where you have questions, or where you just generally have curiosity and want me to go into something more in depth. Alrighty, so having that said, and being back in my podcast studio, aka my closet, I have a topic for you that came to me. So I had that kind of download in the time when I was taking a bit of a break. So the last 1.5 weeks, I was a little bit, as I said before, on a hiatus. I was just trying to find back to myself because I was super busy in my corporate job. It took quite a toll on me because it's like a very busy month for me. And I didn't feel physically super well. Might also be, in terms of the change of the season. So, and I know my body was calling me forward for some good old slowing down process. So something that I am still practicing, to be very honest with you, because slowing down was never in my books. And I came to the realization that slowing down is so beneficial for everything I do anyway. So having that said, while I was slowing down, I got hit with so much contentment, like moments, those moments when you are maybe for a walk, maybe you have a shower, maybe you read a book and be next to your love of your life, or you're out with friends, or whatever it is, where you get hit with this extreme deep satisfaction, this deep fulfillment and contentment, where you don't need anything else besides what you already have, and that moment is so precious to you. It's a fleeting moment, obviously it doesn't last forever. And I had those moments last week like crazy. It was like coming to me and to like over and over again. And that always is a sign for me that I'm at the right path in my life, that slowing down is actually the medicine that I definitely need right now. I also don't take on new clients in my coaching practice. I'm coaching the clients I have right now. I'm super satisfied with how my business is going. So I don't need more. And being in a privileged position to have a business and to say that I don't need more clients is absolutely fantastic, because if I see how other people run their business, their coaching business, always from more and more and more, and like kind of an internal lack that they feel, then I'm really privileged to say I don't take on more clients at the moment, and that might change by next week, 2 weeks. I don't know, but right now I'm full. I don't even want to think about a wait list. I'm just grateful how it is. And today we will talk about redefining success, like from striving and achieving more and filling this internal gap, this internal scarcity, to this pure moment of contentment. And I want to just share very authentically how this all happened for me and how the universe, God, conspired that I have those moments, and so that I also can share some lessons learned. Okay, so today we are diving into something that's really so resonating with me. So redefining success. And I've also been talking about this with some of my clients, and it's so interesting when you come to that point where you say, like, I think I was running, and that's my personal story right now. Sorry. I think I'm running after success that other people deem as success, but isn't necessarily success for me in my life. If I close my eyes, and I want you to do this exercise with me, if you close your eyes, if you really get comfortable in your seat, if you just refrain from taking any actions or anything else other than just closing your eyes and taking a deep breather. What and how does success feel to you, and how does it look like, and what is it? And I'm not talking about the kind of success that makes your Instagram feed pop off, or the one where you're chasing maybe business numbers or external validation from others. I'm talking about that deep, fulfilling success that comes from within, and from especially these small moments of life that make you truly feel content. Just give yourself a few moments. And if you need, press pause on this podcast and just see what comes to you visually, viscerally, maybe kinesthetically. And maybe you'll hear it auditorily, or you taste it, or you smell it. So when I do this, what comes to me is health, my lovely furball's health, my husband's health, and that's it. Living so comfortably, having a relationship with my husband that's so beautiful, a marriage that I really cherish. That's what success looks like. And then I see some clients that I'm working with, running some retreats, but I'm doing this from a full cup. And I'm doing this because life gives me so much wisdom and experience by doing this my own inner work. And I fill those spots easily. There's no hustling for, building things. And it's fine if there is hustling in between. I don't mind working hard, but it doesn't define my success. So, coming back to the content of our session today, of our podcast today, I recently really had this huge realization that hit me actually also during a very short road trip with my husband. And honestly, the shift has been brewing for a while, but that road trip was like the final piece of my puzzle that brought it really together for me. So we were just getting back from a beautiful trip from Palm Springs, and let me tell you, it was stunning. We've been doing little trips like this, like 2 weekends in a row, actually. So first to Santa Barbara, it's up north of Los Angeles. I think it's 1.5 hours up north of Los Angeles, next to the Pacific. And then we went to Palm Springs. Palm Springs is in California as well, and it's more inland. It's in the direction to Nevada, Arizona, and it's in the desert, and beautiful places that we visited. And at one point I looked at my husband and I said, babe, that is our freaking fucking dream. And I was so serious with this because, a year ago, my husband and I were dreaming about doing exactly this when we were living in Boston. And this, those short road trips on the weekends. Being spontaneous on a Sunday, 11:30 a.m. to say, let's go up north to Santa Barbara. That wasn't even planned, but we were just so spontaneous and like, hey, let's go and do a road trip. And we came home really late. We came home at 9:30 that day on Sunday, and it didn't matter because this is our dream. We were like talking for 3 years to do those amazing things and visiting those amazing places. And let me tell you, the East Coast, especially around New England, there's not much to see. It's fucking boring, and the only place that is really worth going is actually New York. And the landscape in the US is really only worth visiting in the more western hemisphere of this beautiful country. So at least for me, I mean, maybe I'm biased. Maybe you think New England is the shit. I don't think it is, but we don't have to agree on this one. So, and then my husband and I were talking about how we wanted to explore new places and enjoy life on our terms and not be in a rush to chase more. And now we are actually doing it. And I mean, just to say it out loud, we are living our dream. And it is the first time that my husband and I feel that we are genuinely 100% or 150% living our dream. And it's funny because it's not about this big, flashy thing. And it's also not about like, okay, now I accomplished something. We moved to a place that we always wanted to live. And now we are wanting more. No, we don't necessarily need more. We are not, at least from my perspective, I'm not like striving for the next big thing in my life. I still have ambition. I still have a vision. I still have dreams and goals. But for the first time of my life, it's like taking a big exhale and saying, I'm living my dream. And if I die tomorrow, and I hope I will live a long life, but if that will be my last day, I'd be satisfied. Of course, there are always tiny regrets because, we have also not always that much time in the day to do everything. But I'd say I at least lived the last few months like it was my absolute dream, and I'm satisfied. And again, so we're living our dream, and it's so funny because again, it's not something big, it's not that I now have like hit a business milestone or run a 6-figure business. It's also not about anything external like like a big promotion in my corporate job or getting double the salary. It's just more about the little moments that bring me contentment, and the kind of contentment that no amount of money, no business success, and no external validation could ever give me. Ever give me. This is a contentment where you are so satisfied in that fucking moment that you are so in awe of life and you just don't want to change anything. And that is the first time in my life that I'm not striving for more. And let me be clear, it's not because I've lost any ambition. I'm still ambitious as hell. I have still, as I said before, big vision for my business, for my private life. But I'm not striving from a place of lack or needing to prove something to the world, to my followers, to you, or even myself. I'm not in that space anymore. And like getting out of those shackles of I needing to prove myself, like I needed to show other people that I can be super successful. I'm a successful bitch. And look at me. I was that person. I was that one who was hounding after those external validation, showing how good my life is. And, not having that anymore, hey, that is so fucking powerful. And I just want to dive also into an experience I just had basically on Sunday. So, on Monday. So I was at a butcher on Monday, and I wanted to treat myself to a good organic grass-fed steak. So organic grass-fed steak is super pricey in the US, as you can imagine. Maybe also where you live, but especially here in the US, everything that's organic grass-fed is like, wow. So I was just chatting with the butcher about different cuts, and I was about to go with the cheaper option because he kind of recommended that this is the biggest bang for your bucks. And I looked at that piece and I was like, I don't know. I don't get a visceral feeling of a full body fucking yes. It was actually like, it looked kind of like, it was not very fatty, and I'm not like looking for something really fat, but like it was completely free of any white lines. I'm like, no, my body was just like, fuck no. And so and then I was like, okay, I was always in the habit of picking the cheaper options at the butcher. So, I just got confronted with, I actually wanted the other steak, this other piece that I saw lying there. And I also was confronted with a pattern of me that used to pick always the cheapest options, even though I could afford it. So, in this time, something inside of me said, like, no, I deserve something better, and I chose the one piece of meat that really attracted my eye, and that was a very expensive piece. I think it was $27. That will be 2 meals for me because it was also quite big. But anyway, I went with this more expensive cut, and not because I knew that it was more expensive, but because it felt right. It felt right in my body. It caught my eye. And I had this visceral response inside of me to pick that specific meat, even though it was more the pricey one. But I didn't see the price right away. I was just really going after what attracted my eye. And here's the tea. I didn't feel guilty about that. I didn't feel guilty when the butcher was telling me the price of that piece of meat. And that is growth to me. Because a year ago, I would have felt guilt and shame of spending extra money on something like that, even if I could have afforded it, even if I could afford it. And I would be so ashamed, and I would like, hopefully no one understands or will ever hear from me that I got like with something more expensive, because I used to sometimes pick the cheaper option, but sometimes it overcame me and I'm like, oh fuck it, I'll just go with something more pricey, and then I felt so much shame and guilt for that. And today I'm so grateful. I felt gratitude like really rolling over me and sweeping me from my feet almost, because I was able, first of all, I have the privilege that I'm able to pick the most expensive one, and I'm super, super, super able to afford it. And I was also super happy about it, that I was not feeling like, shame, guilt, or like overthinking it and like picking the cheaper option. And then like regretting it all the way home because I wanted actually the other one. And this gratitude, to make these choices that and nourish myself without any mental baggage attached to it. Again, with either resentment because I took the cheaper one, or I took the expensive one, but then felt shame and regret about it. And I used to really think, I don't want my husband to know how much that cost, and I hope he will never see the receipt and he will never ask me. I was really thinking that still maybe a year ago. And that, do you think that's a good life to live? I don't think so. But there was just so much guilt inside of me that spending so much money on a piece of meal. But on the other hand, it's also healthy because, I mean, first of all, in a restaurant, that's double the price. But on the other hand, like, nourishing yourself with something so healthy. I mean, I'm not eating steak every day. I eat a red meat once in a while, and then really well chosen cuts, as I explained before. So, even though I could justify that this way, I felt so much shame around that. And being able to afford it and not having shame and guilt anymore felt so good. And that was another moment where I felt like I'm living my dream and I'm super successful. And people would be like, you define success going to the supermarket and buy the most expensive cut of a steak. And I'm like, yes, that is my definition of success. It's one of the many definitions of success. And again, if someone would ask me that, how I define success, that would be my first answer. I would have other examples of success, and I'll go into that as well. But that's how I define that. And and I was also thinking like, hey, it's so amazing. Like, we can afford so many things. My husband and I have really great incomes, and I'm not mentioning this to brag, but it's also like, because I was thinking about a study that I read like maybe 2 years ago or so. So it's a while back, where I read that at a specific income, household income, the happiness level don't really increase anymore. And I've been thinking, because every year my husband gets more money because he's like, he finished his residency training in June, so he's a doctor of neurology. Now he's doing a subspecialization in neurology of stroke, so he's a fellow. So he's earning more money every day, and next year even more because he's fully trained. And I realized that, more money didn't really make us more happy. I mean, it gives you a lot of joy and you are able to afford more, but that wasn't necessarily, that doesn't bring in necessarily more happiness. So, and, you know, I was diving into that study because I was really interested to read. And that study showed that if you hit a certain household income, and it is around $75,000, I don't know with the inflation if that amount holds true, because $75,000 a year for a household income, it doesn't tell me yet, if there are kids around, because $75,000 a year in the US is actually nothing. So, but anyway, so I don't know when the study was done. I need to do the research on this one. But anyway, this particular study said $75,000 a year. Okay, and I would say let's do $100K a year for the Americans here. I think that makes more sense. And it says that if you hit, let's say, anything between $75,000 and let's say $100,000, your happiness levels don't really increase with more money. That's interesting, because why are we then striving always for more? So yeah, more money is obviously nice and you can make life more comfortable. We all know that, but it does not actually make you happier after that point. And that really showed me that I don't really need to hit any big milestones in my business or ask for like constant pay raises, because at this point, my husband and I are so happy with where we are. And I can really vouch for that 100%. Because, again, husband and I are finally financially comfortable. And yes, we are going to earn more in the future. I mean, we'll also have more inflation coming, right? But at this point, any extra money, especially when things come in from my business, it isn't what it brings me fulfillment. It's way more in those little things like the road trips, good food, healthy food, the connections to loved ones. I'm really great with my family of origin. That is my real success, and that will stay like that. And that leads me also to what success looks like for me. So another factor of success, I said, I have quite a lot of definitions how my success looks like. And I'm also obviously curious to hear what your success definition is. So if you would DM me and let me know, I'd be so grateful, because I love to hear things like that from you. I want to hear what you think about a podcast, and obviously about your own success, because I think the beauty of getting older is also to letting go of all those bullshit goals and just say like, hey, I relish my book reading on the couch in the evening with at the cozy fireplace more than, maybe, going out with friends or holding a masterclass in my business. So I'm definitely there. So real success for me is also having a strong, loving relationship with my husband. It's knowing that after we fight, and we do have a lot of disagreements. My husband and I are very different from each other. We have a few areas where we have absolute 100% alignment, but we disagree in a lot of things. But I know that after every fight or disagreement, we can repair, and we do that with grace and come out stronger on the other side. We are one team, even though, sometimes we feel like we are on two separate teams. But in the end of the day, we really appreciate each other and all these beautiful growth that we experience, and where we hold each other accountable, where we call each other out, where we say, hey, this is bullshit, I don't believe, or you can do better. So this is real growth for me. This is success. This is amazing. And obviously some fights or some discussions are not that pretty. Sometimes we really have to, because relationships, marriage, you trigger the other person a lot, because we all have wounding from childhood. It all comes up in intimate relationships. So yeah, that's what is part of our lives. And handling conflict is the most beautiful thing ever. And sometimes, yeah, conflict can be a little bit exhausting, because fleshing things out and discussing things and holding each other with compassion takes a lot of bandwidth, obviously. But that is also like, we get better with this, and it's so cool. It's so amazing. And that is just fucking success. And it's also like with my relationship with my family. I talk to my parents regularly, my dad almost every day, and we tell each other a lot of things. I'm very close to my dad, and I have not been, by the way. I had really big troubles with my dad, so we have a whole other, like, really roller coaster relationship with my dad. I might do a podcast around that, with my daddy wound that I overcame and forgave, and there was a lot of shit happening. So I don't want you to think, I mean, you can think it, but I don't want to, like, you say like, oh, she has such a great dad, she's easy. No, I didn't. My parents were, believe me, they did some shitty things, okay? So, but I forgave, and I'm really close with them, because for me it was like, I know my parents will not be there forever, and I don't want to argue with them, or blame them for things that they didn't provide or gave less of. Because now, becoming older and having more responsibilities, I also see that now they are in the age, now I am in the age that they were. So I see how hard life is, and there's definitely nothing presented to you on a silver platter. And my parents had 5 children, so yeah, yeah. Okay, so, and yeah, I'm just close with my family, and that's a connection is really success to me. And another big thing is like, uh, and there's another big shift. So it's success is also about feeling ready for whatever life throws at me. So the first time in my life, I feel ready to start a family. So I am not sure, if God, the universe, has that in my books. I don't know. But it's the first time in my entire life that I am saying, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But for 23 years, I was not in that space to wanting children. Not that I ruled it out entirely. I was never ever saying I don't want children. I always said, like, I'm not ready and I need to get older. And no, everyone is telling me, like, yeah, but you will never be ready to have children. Fuck that shit. I don't buy into that bullshit. That is a complete separate conversation. What I'm talking about is that I looked into my life. I lived a long distance relationship with my husband for 6 fucking years. And in the 3 years that we are, 3.5 years that we are living together in one place, we had to, get to know each other on a different level. So for the past 9 years, there was no room for having a fucking baby, because I needed to get to the US. And, if you do the legal way in the US to enter the US legally, you're fucking dumbass, because it will take you forever. It took me 3 years to get into the US. Anyway, that's a whole separate conversation. And so I was not really ready. And in my 20s, lo and behold, oh my God, I did so many things. I am so glad I never got pregnant, and it was always my priority not to get pregnant. So I always knew how to prevent it, and I was very super cautious about it. And I always said, since I was 15 years old, that I will become an old mom, because I knew already with 15 that I have to really, 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 really learn and figure things out, because I did so much shit in my life. I made many mistakes. I hurt a lot of people. I have not been a good person at times, and I knew that. I knew that getting a child right now would be something irresponsible. And then in my 30s, I was like, yeah, like, getting the pressure and feeling like, okay, but I should, right? And then I had to do a lot of work around it so that I'm not feeling pressured, just because biologically, all this bullshit, I don't buy into that either. And so I was like, okay, the only thing I can do is I keep myself healthy, have a great marriage with my husband, live a beautiful life. And now I'm at this point for the first time in my life, and also discussed with my husband that if it happens, we would be happy and we are open to it. We are not actively like shooting for it and like, like, yeah, we want to get pregnant now. It's just like the first time I'm just opening, welcoming that sensation of like, yeah, I might be open. I'm not might be. I am open to it. There's a lot of fear there, obviously. There's a lot of like, wow, that will change everything for me, obviously. But it's the first time that I'm like not in this in between spot between yes and no, like always like indecisive. And that is success. That is success for me because this is an internal shift that happened organically. I didn't have to push for it. I didn't have to feel like, oh my God, do I want one? Do I don't want one? It's just like, I'm open to it. And I know that the universe and God conspire in the best way for me and in favor to me. So I am relaxed about it. And that is also success to me. Because the last time I talked to a friend of mine and I told her, hey, actually, because I talked to her, she was the only one I talked to her about that indecisiveness and knowing that, I'm not getting younger. And a lot of like my girlfriends have all children. They're just a very, very tiny minority that doesn't have children. So I'm like, well, what do I do? How was for you? Because she has a child and she's going for the next one. So, and I was just telling her, hey, it changed. And we had a conversation about it. And I told her, and that is success to me because it came naturally and it feels really good. Yeah, so coming to the end of the podcast. So again, as I posed before, the question for you, what does success really mean to you? And also not want so and also what you really want, not what your mentors or influencers or society tells you what success should look like, but what you truly makes you fulfilled. Is it maybe more money? Because it could be that you are at that point in your life where you say you wish to have more money and that would mean success to you. Is it more recognition professionally or privately in an area? Is it the quiet moments where you feel at peace, where where you're exactly where you need to be? How is it for you? I am genuinely curious, and I'm posing the question because I feel like that is super important for you also to dive into, because for such a long time, my success looked like the success of my mentors and coaches. My success looked like someone else's success. So what I'm telling you today, that success for me is a road trip. Success is for me health. Success is for me being able to pick a piece of fucking meat. Success is for me to have a loving relationship with my parents. Success is for me going for a run during my workday. Success is for me to have a lot of flexibility in my corporate job and getting fuck ton of money. That is what success is for me. And it does not look like, your success might look completely different. And it is okay. There's no judgment. A lot of my clients want more money. A lot of my clients want more time. And there's another aspect that I didn't mention. Success is for me so much flexibility in my time, working from home. I love it. I never want to go back into an office ever again. And that is such richness. Not having to go to an office, being at home, cooking my own meals, and just being genuinely myself. And it's incredible. And it's also so, success is also for me to be on this authenticity journey and found also a niche that is so potent that so many people want to know more of, people who want me, to work with them so they can step into more their authentic version. You find out their values and what's really important for them. Some people are very lost in life. They don't know. A lot of people I recently talked to, and one friend is among them, they are more lost in their life right now. They thought success is this external success to show off the success or something, some achievements or some accolades. And now they came to a realization it's not. And that's now scary for them because it's like, what am I striving for? What am I achieving? And for me, for most of my life, I looked at success um, in terms of how other people define success. And today is the first time, like not today, but like the last couple of days, I'm defining success so much more organically. And of course, there was a little bit of fear as well of like, am I losing ambition? Am I becoming quote unquote normal and not wanting to do like anything extra after work? Like working on a business and growing it. And I'm like, no, 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 that's not it. I'm not becoming complacent, lazy. It's the opposite. It's actually this like I can slow down and not feel scared. And I have also done again phases where I do sprints, where I'm being active, I'm offering my services, market my business. But right now it's about not taking on more clients and be so content with what I have, and also being able to really enjoy my harvest of this huge investment of time, money, resources of the past years, because I've been in a long-term relationship with my husband, a long-distance relationship with my husband for 6 years prior. We got married, and prior I moved to the US. So the last fucking 10 years were a lot of work. There were a lot of tears, a lot of frustration, a lot of unhappiness, a lot of anger, a lot of disappointment, a lot of, jealousy of other people because I thought they had what I didn't have, while I was just, on a journey that took me long. But now I'm like, wow, I am there. That doesn't mean I fully arrived, but I arrived so that I can say I settle here on this journey, and then I go on another journey. And whatever that journey will be, I'm ready for it, grateful for it, and just extremely content. And yeah, for me, success is not the flashy external markers of success anymore. It's about the small, just everyday moments that bring me joy. And basically, pure contentment. And yeah, I just want to encourage you to define your success, redefine your success on your terms. Really come back what makes you happy, what makes you fulfilled. And that can be such a tiny micro moment or micro thing. And that is fully okay. Because often, just because we don't see anyone else like indulging in this contentment of like, let's say your dogs, like my dogs, or like reading a book at night at my fireplace, doesn't mean that's not success. If I define this as success, then this is success. For my mentor, that's not success. For her, it's like this 7-figure income, but that's not for me. And I just want to remind you, you don't have to strive for more if you are already content. If you say you're in a good place right now, everything is going well, you can have still big goals. You can have a big vision, but it's coming from striving that comes from an abundant place, and where you don't feel like I need to have more because I want to show my girlfriends that I'm worthy, that I'm successful, that I do count on this planet. And you do count, even without anything in terms of accolades or achievements. And it's also okay to be super ambitious. It's just don't let ambition come from a place of scarcity. That's all I want to let you know of. And let it come from a place of, true abundance, and knowing that you are enough exactly as you fucking are. So, having that said, thank you so much for tuning in today. It was a longer episode, but I am fully back, and I hope this resonated with you and gave you some food for thought as you navigate your own journey. And yeah, let me know your thoughts via DMs or via comments below on the podcast episode, and I'll hear and speak to you next week, my love. So stay true to yourself, and remember, love, you get to define your own success. Okay, so talk soon again. Bye.